Booming Thunder Radio, where we groove as the spirit moves. Yeah. Drawing the honey from the rock with the righteous Reverend Doctor on Booming Thunder Radio.
Welcome to the Fourth Watch, mighty friends. I'm your host, Brother TC, coming at you live the way we always do. Yeah, no man knows, but the spirit within him, his next step in breath, that place it will take each of us. May your steps in breath be groovy, everlasting, be an everlasting glory upon the earth. Yeah, with the knowledge of the sun, yeah, the firmament he created for the glory of his Father. Yeah, seen in the word everlasting forevermore. How much water in your willing vessel he has been changed in an instant to a sweet wedding drink. Yea, for the love, the greatest love, yea, which is greater, I ask each of you, a mother's love for her son, or a son's love for his mother, even in his old age? Yea, what is the greatest love? Who do you love? Yeah. Oh, let all the sweetness, yeah, the clusters holding the seed upon the vine, yeah, may they hold the clusters of the grapes, yeah, that the wrath will not come but in Yahovah's time. Do you know the parable of the vineyard? I hope you do. If you haven't heard it before, you ought to hear it the way that Yahshua tells us all about it. Somewhere around Matthew 21:40, somewhere around in there, I think you can probably find something to get you going, up or down. So, the parable of the sower. A king, yeah, made an arrangement with the people of the land to they could live and farm the land for half the produce. They would just work this man's land and give him half of what they did. And so the king sent one of his servants, a bond servant, to get his fair half even of the ill-gotful gain. And they ran him out of town, ran him out of the vineyard, outside the gate, whooped him up pretty good. He finally got stitched up enough to get back to the king and tell him what happened. So the king decided, well, maybe they just didn't recognize him. Let me send my tip-top bondservant down there, and they'll surely listen to him. So he went down there, and they whooped him up and broke his... they just whooped on him. Took him twice as long to get back. And I said, well, I'm going to have to send my boy down there, and he'll straighten all this out. And when the son rolled up in there and into the vineyard, his father's vineyard, the people in the vineyard were evil in their hearts, were they not? Keeping all the bounty for themselves and not sharing it with the one who had been given the land. Stealing everything, the land, the oil, the gates of heaven. And so what did they do when they saw the son coming in through the gates of the vineyard? They schemed with themselves. Let's kill the son. That way, when the father dies, there'll be no heir, and we'll be the heir. We can keep the whole thing for ourselves, even though we're already stealing it from them now. Now we can steal the whole thing. Such evil, to conceal the truth and get drunk on its wine. Drunk on the blood of the prophets. Oh, Jerusalem. And all the blind leading the blind to be down there 42 months. How many foot have trodden on your head since you've been down there in Jerusalem? Well, let me sing now for our well-beloved a song of our beloved concerning his vineyard. Our well-beloved had a vineyard on a fertile hill. We're in Isaiah 5, verse 1. Open up wisdom's pages and look deep within her heart. He dug it all around, removed its stones, and planted it with the choicest vine. And he built a tower in the middle of it, and also hewed out a wine vat in it. Then he expected to produce grapes, but it produced worthless ones. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Yehudah, judge between Yahushua or his father's vineyard, that you may find the way through the gate with the key upon the keyhole, rather than crawling over the wall or wading or rowing up a river of blood into this country. A number, could it be 2/3 times more than the 70 million we know of? How many more could it be? How many have been slain on the other side of this wall, this evil, this eagle that lusts for blood? Its banners with snakes in its clutches, but it looks as if the snake, is running loose. And the sea eagle was overcome by the depths of the Emerald Ocean. Oh, our well-beloved has a vineyard on a fertile hill. He dug it all around, removed its stones. You can kind of see how one side uses one word and one side uses the other word. Both using the same book, both standing, one on the right hand, one on the left hand side, each reading their part. Hand mirrors, undergarments, turbans, and veils, festal robes, outer tunics, cloaks, finger rings and money purses, nose rings and perfume boxes, amulets, ankle chains, headdresses and sashes, dangling earrings, bracelets, more veils as you enter deeper inside the crescent ornaments, and the beauty of anklets and their headbands will be, their beauty will be taken away, and they'll wonder what they did it all for. For everlasting is much longer than you think. In 70 generations, may each find their way there in the Father's perfect time. The word will be made true. So we have Mighty Yehovah of hosts will have a day against everyone who is proud and lofty, and against everyone who is lifted up, that he may be abased. Now, from what I have seen, and it appears that all of our elected officials are nothing what they appear to be to a common man, a slave labor camp. And this is what it says, that Mighty Yehovah against all the cedars of Lebanon that are lofty and lifted up, against all the oaks of Bashan, against all the lofty mountains, against all the hills that are lifted up, against every high tower, against every fortified wall, against all the ships of Tarshish, and against all the beautiful craft. The pride of man will be humbled, and the loftiness of men will be abased. And Mighty Yehovah alone will be exalted in that day. But the idols will completely vanish, will go into caves of the rocks and into holes of the ground before the terror of mighty Yahovah, and the splendor of his majesty when he arises to make the earth tremble. And so he dug it all around, removed all its stones in the vineyard, and then he planted it with the choicest vine. Yea, hallelujah. And he built a tower in the middle of it. Yea. And also hewed out a wine vat in it. Then he expected to produce grapes, but it produced worthless ones. Jeremiah 2:21. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Yehuda, judge between Yahovah and Yahovah's vineyard, revealed and set forth since the foundation by the faithfulness and truth within his son's heart. A heart freely given, that you may have a free choice. What more was there to do? For, if you cry to the one that can save us, the only one that can save any of us, mighty Yahoshua, Yahshua, that treasured spirit of truth in the hidden right hand of all the saints, Moshe, Eliyahu, all of them. So let the knowledge of the one that can save us and reveal the unknowable one unto us, Yeshua. So let Yeshua tell you, spotless ones, what his Father has asked him to do going into the vineyard this day. He has asked the eyes to remove its hedge, and it will be consumed. The eyes will break down its wall, and it will become trampled down. Trampled ground, all the way to the down. And the eyes will lay it waste. It will not be pruned or hoed, but briars and thorns will come up. I will also charge the clouds to rain no rain on it. For the vineyard of mighty Yahovah of hosts, the unknowable one, is the house of Israel, and the men of Yehuda, his delightful plant. Thus he looked for justice, but behold, bloodshed. For righteousness, but behold, a cry of distress. Psalm 80, 8-11. But there shall be a remnant prepared, for righteousness' sake. And in that day 7 women will take hold of one of these men, and they will say, we will eat our own bread. And wear our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name. Take away our reproach. And in that day, the branch, yea, the righteous branch of the unknowable God, mighty Jehovah, will be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth, yea, the pride and the adornment of the survivors of Israel, the righteousness to come. It will come about that he who is left in Zion and remains in Jerusalem will be called holy. Everyone shall be holy who is recorded for life in Jerusalem, yea, the new Jerusalem, the final stage of, yea, a 7-year plan. When Yahushua, the one who came and gave all, that you might know the truth and find the narrow way that only few will ever find. Yea, when Yahushua, yea, Yahshua has washed away your filth, yea, the filth of your daughters, the daughters of Zion, and purge the blood, yea, the blood shed from Jerusalem, yea, from her womb's midst, by the spirit of judgment and the spirit of burning. Then, yea, Jehovah will create over the area, yea, the whole area of Mount Zion, and over all her assemblies, a cloud by day, even smoke, and the brightness of a flaming fire by night. For over all the glory will be a canopy. There will be a shelter to give, yea, a shelter to shade from the heat by day, and refuge and protection from the storm and the rain. Yea, Psalm 27:5. Woe to those who add house to house, join field to field, until there is no more room, so that you have to live alone in the midst of the land. Yea, in the ears, Yahushua's Father, mighty Jehovah of hosts, yea, makes known that surely many houses shall become desolate, yea, great and fine ones without occupants. For 10 acres of vineyard will yield 1 bath. Do you understand? And an omer of seed will yield an ephah of grain. Woe to those who rise early in the morning that they may pursue strong drink, who stay up late in the evening that wine may inflame them. Their banquets are by lyre and harp and tambourine and flute and by wine. But they do not pay attention to the deeds of Jehovah, nor do they consider the work of his hands. Yea, deceived into their power, in their own blindness, do their fingers bring forth spirits of the earth. Therefore, Jehovah's people will go into exile for their lack of knowledge. And their honorable men, they're famished, and their multitude is parched with thirst. Therefore Sheol has enlarged its throat, and opened its mouth without measure. Do you hear? And Jerusalem's splendor, her multitude, her din, yea, all the spirits and the jubilant within her, descend. So the man, a man will be humbled, and each man of abased, yea, the eyes of the proud also will be abased. Humble yourself. But mighty Jehovah of hosts will be exalted in judgment, and the holy God will show himself holy in righteousness, right understanding of the word. Yea, rightly dividing, best possible in English translation. Yea, our heart longs for a Hebrew scholar to discern and distill each drop. Yea, the Elijah Ministry Bible with all the words of truth, the name of the Father and the Son, and all the hidden meanings of the Word, twisted by Mystery Babylon. We straightening it out. If y'all pay attention from the beginning, y'all know how straight this arrow is. Yeah, and y'all know that we never draw the bow. We have 35 million on our right and 35 million on your left, just like each one of you guys do. Now, ain't no need in rousting them all up, all the legions. But, if you just brought, some of your treasured bowmen, these little angels that never set foot upon the earth, whenever you need an arrow slung in righteousness and truth upon the evil that is in Mystery Babylon, that in their cunning craft and their deceitful nature have concealed their slings and arrows, what would happen if the prayers of a righteous man would be with great mercy and grace? And what would they be if they were not? Like a cut-off stump on the side of an oak tree, freshly pruned or hewn down for its unfruitful nature. Then the lambs, yea, that's you, mighty friend, will graze in their pasture, and strangers will eat in the waste places of the wealthy. Yea, for all that land. Woe to those who drag iniquity with the cords of falsehood, and sin, yea, as if with cart ropes. Who say, let him make speed, let him hasten his work, that we may be able seamen, and let the purpose of the Holy One of Israel draw near, and come to pass that we may know, the we of us, of all. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who substitute darkness for light and light for darkness, who substitute bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. You know who you are. Woe to those who are heroes in drinking wine and valiant men in mixing strong drink, who justify the wicked for a bribe and take away the rights of the ones who are in the right. Therefore, as a tongue of fire consumes stubble, and dry grass collapses into the flame, so their root will become like rot, and their blossom blow away as dust. For they have rejected the law of Yahovah of hosts, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. On this account the anger of Yahovah has burned against his people, and he has stretched out his hand against them and struck them down. And the mountains quaked, and their corpses lay like refuge in the middle of the streets. For all this his anger is not spent, but his hand is still stretched out. He will also lift up a standard to the distant nation. And will whistle for it from the ends of the earth. And behold, it will come with swift speed. And one in it is weary of stumbles. Yea, none slumbers or sleeps, nor is the belt at its waist undone, nor its sandal strap broken. Its arrows are sharp, and all its bows are bent. The hooves of its horses seem like flint. Yea, horse hooves making sparks with all the iron rods. Yea, their fathers had given each of them wheels, yea, like a whirlwind of fire, painted pony's gotta go round and round. Its roaring is like a lioness, do you hear? More like lionesses. And it roars like young lions that, yea, they have trained. They growl, yea, growls as it seizes the prey and carries off with no one to deliver. And it will growl over it in that day like the roaring of the sea. If one looks to the land, behold, there is darkness, distress. Even the light is darkened by its own clouds, mighty friends.